But let's move into the main event. We are doing our NBA draft mailbag. We had, I think, over 170 comments on the 1 through 10, and then the 11 through 20, we had, I think, about like 12 or 20. And then even on the 21 through 30, we had, I think, about like 3 comments that were all very good. So we just want to thank you guys for reaching out, for even adding on your questions. We picked the 10 that I think will drive the conversation the most, so we'll be doing that first. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Jag Sperry on Twitter. He is a Spurs fan. He reached out with some questions about who the Spurs should draft. Called out my Kobe White, or my, I think it was Ayo. It was either my Ayo or Kobe White.
John did the same thing. I can't remember if it was on or off the podcast.
That's in the future.
But he did.
Yeah, John is going to come up next. But yeah, he did call out my Kobe White pick for the Spurs. So I do want to give you guys a shout out when you guys do that. So thank you to Jag Sperry. We're going to start off real quick with Big Oso. This was on the 1 through 10. So much hate for the Knicks. I do want to clear up. We don't hate any fan base.
No. But you do throw some shade at the Knicks, though.
Okay.
We don't hate the fan base. But
I don't hate the fan base. I don't hate the fan base at all. I don't hate any fans. I don't hate any team. I just want to be realistic. Like, when I say that you haven't signed anybody in 17 years, you don't come back with that with, like, oh, we signed X player, because you haven't. Like, I don't have hate for them. I'm just being realistic. I think that New York would be, it should be the best free agent destination for any player. I mean, you look at it, they have probably the most historic arena in the NBA. I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah. Some might say Staples or it's TD Garden, but I think it's pretty clear that it's Madison Square Garden.
The Mecca. Like, get out.
Again, I'm making an argument. I'm just saying, like, I'm saying it is clear. You know, New York is a great city. It's the second best city probably in America, number 1 being Chicago. And you do have a shitty owner, but the fans there are fantastic. I mean, you see that with when the Yankees are great. You see that when the Jets are great. You see that when the Giants are great. You see that New York fans rally around their teams, and that is no different.
The upper bowl is crazy
there. I think the only teams that they don't do it for are the Islanders and the Nets. But you look at at least the Knicks. When the Knicks are good, even when they're bad, that stadium's always filled out. So again, it's nothing against the fan base or the teams or the players. It's just being realistic. Dolan's a bad owner. You guys haven't brought anyone in. I don't know what's selling people on New York. I just want to be clear. I don't hate New York.
I just look at it as a simple, of course a fan base is going to get upset if you throw a little bit of shade at their team.
But again, like I don't think I'm throwing like shade that's not warranted.
But I'm just saying that's how fans are. I would be the same if people threw shade at the Bulls, even though if it's more true, it digs a little bit deeper. That's what I think it would. That's what I think we're at here.
And it might be more. I think if any fan base should be complaining, it should be the Orlando Magic for them doing this dirty.
It should also be Memphis, but Dave's sitting here.
I don't know. I'm talking at least for the actual mock draft because we talked about them for I think it was an hour and 17-minute topic.
Told you so.
And we talked about it for 24 seconds. That was my bad. That was my bad.
They earned those 24 seconds, man.
I asked Ricky about who he liked, but I wanted him to answer the first question about the Hawks, and we got just so enthralled with the Hawks that I totally forgot to go back about the question. But we will do that. We'll make up for it in this segment. So let's start off. We're going to start off with Johnny Walker, L.A. He said, Cam athletically is superior to R.J. Barrett. I don't think anyone is going to argue that. That was a quote from Dave. He said, what is this boy talking about? RJ has dunked way more than Cam this season, and this big dude agreeing, where the fuck did you get Cam as more athletic than RJ? The fuck, lol. That goes to Dave for you, and then also just to add on to that, because we talked a little bit about RJ Barrett's ceiling and comp. He said, Invincible Gaming said Barrett's best ceiling comp is Harden, Floor, Will Barton, which I do agree with. Melo, Kobe, and Tim Hardaway Jr. are not good comparisons at all, I have to say. So, Dave, what do you have to say about the Cam is athletically superior to RJ? Do you agree with Johnny Walker that RJ is more athletic? And then also with the comp and ceiling stuff, where do you stand on the whole Harden and Will Barton as a ceiling floor?
So just going to go real easy to start with. Dunking doesn't equal athleticism. I hate to break that to you. There's more that makes up athleticism than jumping up and putting the ball in through the rim. Didn't know I had to explain that to people, but cool. We're just going to start off with the basics here, people. We'll work our way up. I think that absolutely RJ, yes, he does dunk more. He is more physical when he goes to the rim. But to kind of counter that, Cam actually plays a whole lot faster than he does. They're both relatively the same area when it comes to strength. It looks like they're both pretty built out for their size. what I would love to say is that versatility-wise, for his size, his speed, his wingspan, Cam is the better athlete. Like, when you take all of his product of his body, his strength, his activity, like, he is a better athlete than RJ Barrett is. Especially when it comes to the defensive end, where you can see him switching 2 through 4 without a problem. And in those extreme cases, if they do end up in a bad situation where he's on a 1, you know, he's not totally lost out there. He's not completely without an answer. So his defensive ability to switch because of his athletic prowess, you have to give him the credit. Offensively, yes, you've only seen him stand behind the three-point line, so you don't get him yamming it down on people. And that might be, you know, I get that. That is the image that sticks in people's heads a lot when you think of a player, RJ going to the hoop hard. It happens a lot, so no disappointment there. But the point is, I think he absolutely can abuse matchups, especially at the next level. If he gets into a good system where he's not surrounded by 2 ball-heavy guys with RJ Barrett and Zion Williamson. If he gets the ball in his hands, he can run pick and pop with a multitude of players. Words are tough.
There you go.
With a multitude of players. And I think that he absolutely can abuse matchups doing that because of his size. He is, you know, he has great size for a wing. He's a modern NBA wing size, and he absolutely is more athletic than RJ Barrett. Like, I said that expecting the answer, and you agreed with me, Ricky. I don't know, Sean, if you did or didn't, but
well, Ricky, we'll go to you. We'll save Dave from the attack he's having on his throat.
Yeah, thank you.
You did agree. So, are you agreeing with everything that he's saying, or is there something else that you're seeing, or I mean, was it just something in the moment that you really weren't paying attention to Dave? Because I've done that before too.
No, for me, it's
where I've just kind of blocked out Dave.
And
before.
this comes with RJ to Cam, and what I kind of think of is they're very different players, and I think the thing that Cam falls into a hole, and it's not his fault that he falls into this hole, is the hierarchy of Duke, of how we look at it. Zion is number 1. He gets the most attention. Then RJ gets the second most attention, and then Cam gets whatever's left. So it's like, because of that, when you're that third player out, yes, Cam has been streaky this year. I have said it. It's one of the big things of, like, he has a really good game here, but then a really not so good shooting game the next, and he's kind of been hot and cold through the season. Well, when you're the third man out, you're going to get ragged on a little bit by people, whereas RJ can be like, oh, I've got that Mamba mentality, and if he has a bad night, it's like, oh, well, Kobe had a bad night. Kobe just kept shooting, so RJ, just keep shooting, you'll be fine. And I think that's what Cam Reddish kind of falls into, is by maybe being the third Dookie and the third one we look at, we're grading him the harshest because we really have no one has any knocks for Zion.
Mm-hmm.
Few people have knocks for...
There's knocks for Zion.
There's knocks, but, like, no one's... It's not like, oh, man, this knock, he shouldn't be number 1. It's like, no, he's number 1. That's like, he's clear number 1. And yes, there are, like, some things that he can improve on, but there's nothing that everyone goes, oh, no, like, this is bad about Zion. RJ's got a few more, and I feel because of that, it just all falls on Cam, to where since he's the third one, everything and people just kind of but focus in on him because he's the third out of these 3 Dukies at Duke.
Yeah, and just looking at least the comparison of the dunks thing, RJ at the rim, he's taken 140 at the rim and has made 88. He's shooting 60% at the rim. And then you look at Cam Reddish, 44 attempts, and that he's made 22, and that's 50% on those. The shots are from February 7th, so that doesn't include the past couple weeks. But a big thing for that is Cam has shown that he's having to play third man a lot, like Ricky said, and it's a fair point. I think that there can be an argument for RJ being a better athlete because, yes, Cam might play at a faster pace, but I think something that also has to be played into the idea of athleticism is your ability to accelerate, decelerate, and then also move within the paint. And one thing that RJ has shown is that he does have the strength to attack, take on a body, and then still make a shot, or at least still attempt a shot and draw contact and go to the line. He is very good at creating his own shot within the lane, getting around defenders, using his length. And I think a big thing that he might not be is a very quick twitch athlete like Cam is. I think he is a quick twitch athlete, but I think maybe Cam is a better quick twitch athlete than RJ is. But I think RJ is more of a controlled athlete. Mm-hmm. And you look at Carmelo Anthony, and not to say, RJ is Carmelo, because we'll get to the wholesaling and comp thing. But Carmelo, he was always a great athlete, but also Carmelo wasn't an explosive athlete because that just wasn't his game type. I think that they just are different athletes, and it just shows in different ways. RJ can dunk more, but RJ also has more ability to get to the rim. He also has a higher usage, 32% compared to Cam's, I think, 26%. So looking at their just shot selections, you can't really say one's more athletic because one dunks more. DeAndre Jordan's getting the most dunks, or was getting the most dunks in the NBA, but he wasn't the best athlete. LeBron James always was. That's because of what they can do without the ball, what they can do with the ball, what they can do driving to the basket, what they can do shooting from the outside. So I think that they show their athleticism in different ways. So if you do think RJ's a better athlete, I think that there is an argument there. And I think you can build it up from just what he does on a game-to-game basis, where Cam really hasn't shown that explosive athleticism in every single game, like you were saying, because he doesn't have the opportunity to.
And that's the thing I want to throw in here is the thing that I think is hurting Cam the most is he is a guy where it's like, okay, what's my role on this team?
Yeah.
Where it's like he might not be able to do the things that he was doing in high school because he's got two of the other top recruits from this recruiting class on this team. Take the North Carolina game, for example. Zion only plays 1 minute. When it was just RJ and Cam out there, Cam had a really good game. I know they did lose, but he had a really nice game out there.
Yeah.
Shooting for about 43%, having over 20 points in that game. And I've always had that criticism. When Zion's not on the floor, Cam looks like a completely different player than when all three, Zion, RJ, and Cam, are on the floor for Duke.
Yeah, it's addition by subtraction sometimes when it comes to their play. And I do wonder, fit-wise, I think Cam is one of those guys who we all kind of thought at the next level would be, oh, well, worst case scenario, he's a 3-and-D wing out there that can take some time to develop, and then he can maybe explore a better role. But I think he's a guy who would really benefit by kind of getting his own run as the guy on a team. So, I don't know, I think that's where I'll end that.
Yeah.
As far as the comps, though...
Well, yeah, we'll talk about Cam more, too, because later we're going to talk about him versus Nasir Little.
Right.
Because we're making the argument right now, Cam might not be a great fit in the Duke offense. Clearly, Nasir Little hasn't shown that he's a great fit in the UNC offense. We'll talk more about the fits.
Should they have switched?
The fits and then the players that they are. But going into the comps, do you think that there is an argument that RJ is like James Harden? Because I don't really buy that one.
He's bigger and slower than James Harden. I don't know that necessarily they play the same way. I think the offense of D'Antoni is a bit different than what they're running at Duke, so we're not seeing exactly the same.
Yeah,
I would bet to say Barrett is a better worker from inside out. Harden, his game at this point is incredible. Like the way he draws contact, the way he's such a smart, crafty player that I don't see that out of RJ Barrett yet. RJ Barrett right now is getting it done by being a better athlete, better basketball player than everyone around him. James Harden is one of the smartest basketball players there is. He absolutely dominates from behind the three-point line. He knows where to take advantage of people. He knows matchups. He knows pick and rolls. And when he does pick and rolls, it's always like, I think it was last year or the year before where he and Clint Capella had that incredible run where it was just like the highest, most efficient play in basketball was top of the free throw line, pick and roll with him and Clint. And it succeeded at like a 70-something% rate because it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like, it's just... He knows offense is in and out. I think RJ Barrett, yes, he needs to be a student of the game more. And when I watch him play, I think he just beats people down because when he drives into the lane, he is able to finish at a decent rate. And his shooting selection is garbage compared to...
Yeah.
And I know people want to rag on Harden because he chucks threes, but like that's what the system is made for.
Here's what I will bring up because I brought up James Harden's college stats and the usage rates for them their freshman years aren't similar, but they are extremely similar for Harden's sophomore year. He had 32.5% usage rate compared to RJ's where he's at 32.3%. And looking at that, you can just see the shot selection just showing because RJ's taking about 18.6 attempts per game, making 8.4. James Harden that sophomore year was taking 12.9, but making 6.3. So he had a 48.9% field goal percentage compared to RJ's 45%. But even look at him from 2% from inside the arc. 8.3 attempts for Harden on 4.7 makes. That was 56.4%. Where you look at RJ, 12.2 attempts on 6.3 makes. That's at 51%. So Harden was making shots more efficiently inside the arc. And also he was taking less threes and going to the line more, about pretty much one more time per game, putting up less points. RJ Barrett's putting up 23 compared to Harden's 20, but also James Harden was averaging he was averaging more assist-wise compared to Barrett, although he had worse players around him. So I think one thing that Harden was doing that RJ really hasn't was kind of leading. And I think that's been a big knock on RJ is the fact that he hasn't been a great leader. He hasn't really been moving the ball around. He can take over a game. And I think a big thing with the whole UNC game was that he wasn't able to battle Luke May defensively. And then the other thing was the fact that he was chucking a ton. He was taking up bad shots. He would walk up and fire up a three.
Desperation and just low basketball IQ. When you look at the clock, when you look at, when they get into an offensive set, how is he driving that offense? Is he able to coordinate his guys getting the best available shots? And I know, you've mentioned in the past, yes, he is able to be a decent passer at times, but it's nowhere near as consistent, and he is not a floor general by any means. He has a couple, I think he's averaging, 3.9 or 4 assists a game right now?
4, exactly.
4, exactly. Okay. And, that's solid, but that's just due to his high usage. I think that he's definitely a player who at the next level, you're going to see that drop off. His shots are going to remain about even. And that's why I think I leaned into the THJ reference because it was just New York. I literally said that about 6 times. I was like, I'm only making this reference because he was a high-volume chucker in New York, and that's where we were mocking RJ going. I
think the one thing, too, and this will be the final thing, and then, Ricky, you can jump in with your final thing about RJ, is the fact that you can look at the stat line for RJ against UNC, 11 of 22, 8 of 11 from 2, 3 of 11 from 3, 8 of 10 from the line, 5 turnovers, 13 boards, 4 assists, and 33 points. The biggest thing that stands out to me in just watching that game was those threes, a lot of them, he just didn't move the ball around. And if he didn't take those threes and possibly got a better look, would the game be different? Would it have been a closer game? Because it was just consistently, it was like a 11-point, 9-point difference. And it was just, you needed to get that offense going for Duke. And consistently, it would either be Trey Jones bricking a shot or it would be RJ bricking a shot. Or even Cam as well. Cam wasn't, away from that, and also the 5 turnovers. It's just like again,
I mean, they had no answer in the paint that game though. That was the killer. But if they had got that offense rolling and they hit some level of motion there, then absolutely they could have been in that game.
And
closer.
Something too is that when RJ was driving, he was 8 of 11. When he was not taking shots from the outside, he was extremely efficient. So I think he has to realize what's working for him on that day, because there are games where he's working from the outside. He's gone 4 of 7 from 3. He's gone 3 of 4. And I think it would be interesting to look. I haven't looked at this, but when his 3-point attempts remain below 4 or 5, how well does this team do compared to when he's above that? Because if he is firing up shots, is it hurting the team? And I think that's what he's got to realize a little bit more is when is he being smart? When is he being dumb and not making the smartest basketball decisions? But Ricky, you want to jump in on the pro comps before we move on?
I mean, my final thought of this is not really with the pro comp. It's just my thought with RJ and Cam is go back to what I said. I can't remember if this was the fast break or the PTP, but when we first started the draft process, I said these 3 guys will be towards the top, and we're going to split hairs between all 3 of them. Now, Zion has kind of moved up and solidified number 1, but we're still splitting hairs. The only thing that's made it unique, too, is that I wasn't expecting Ja to kind of wedge his way in there to make the splitting. We're splitting hairs, but now we're fitting Ja in here some way to where it's not just Duke, Ja.
I think we've I'm personally not splitting hairs anymore. I think to me it is clear it's Zion, RJ, Cam. Or sorry, at least compared to those 3. I think it's Zion, Ja, RJ, Cam. And it's really not close. I'm not really splitting hairs anymore. That's personal.
I still think RJ and Cam depend on what team is there. What team and what fit they could flip.
Well, that's the interesting thing is we've mentioned all year, and that's they're such a loaded team. I don't think we expect RJ to do anything differently in the NBA. Cam, I think a lot of people are hoping that he'll be playing differently at the NBA because he won't just be told, hey, you've been the best 3-point shooter, stand behind that line and throw the ball up.
And hopefully NBA teams won't expect that.
Right. So if you want to lean towards Cam, you have every right to, because the expectation is he has much more of a well-rounded game than we've been able to see, but his role right now is such. So that's kind of where I end on the two of them.
And the thing, too, is like it kind of makes sense when you do put them in those roles, because so far that's when where they've been the most efficient. The roles that they're in, they're the most efficient. Cam shooting from the outside, he's a better three-point shooter from NBA 3. 36 makes on 105 attempts, 34% compared to 24% for RJ. RJ at the rim is shooting 62% on 104 attempts, where Cam is only making 44. He's only making 50% of his on 44 attempts. So a big thing is that like the roles that they are in, they're in it for a reason, because that's what they're best at. Now it doesn't mean that Cam can't add that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that RJ can't become a better three-point shooter.
Right.
But I think right now they're in the roles they are because that's what their talent right now is dictating. And yes, Cam could be...
And the offense dictates.
Well, yeah.
I want to say that because I think we all revere Coach K and what he's done for this team, and obviously the decades long.
He's trying to win college basketball games.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say.
He's got a formula, and he's sticking to it.
And that's the right formula. For this team, that's the right formula, is to have Cam on the outside and have RJ
because they
with
have
a high
spacing
usage.
otherwise.
So, I mean... Yes, we can see more from Cam Reddish. Yes, we could see more from RJ Barrett. So I think a big thing that people want to say is like, we're seeing everything from RJ. I don't think we really are, because I mean we're really not seeing him with the right type of players around him.
Interesting.
And I think that with Cam Reddish, he's not in the right role. If he has a higher usage or he has a better passing point guard, what could he actually do? I think that's something that we're going to be looking at, because I could see him being kind of what Brandon Ingram ends up being. I think that they have some similar abilities, just because of their size, their length, their ability to shoot from the outside, and then also their ability as a ball handler.
I mean, Cam's a way better shooter from the outside, though.
But Ingram's a better passer.
Ingram's a better passer.
But I also think that Ingram has that body to become a great shooter, and I think that Cam. I think that Cam has the ability to also at least possibly develop his passing ability, because we really haven't seen him in that role.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
No, I think the Will Barton toss-up was interesting to me. I just think you have to look at where they're at in their careers. Like, Will Barton was basically getting a couple minutes a game to start his career.
Yeah.
Like, by no means. And we're talking floor. So if you're talking Will Barton, what he's doing today, versus THA, what he's doing today, versus, like, where are you hitting on that? Because we might have a issue because of that, as far as what the expectations are.
The other thing, too, is like Will Barton has never had a usage percentage over 23%.
Right. We're talking about a guy getting drafted in the top 5, guaranteed.
RJ's going to come in and get a usage percentage of like 28 or like 27 or 25. 25 to 28 range. So he's already going to surpass that from Will Barton. But if he doesn't pan out, maybe he does come into that like 6-man role forward off the bench, or even like a fourth option on a team, because
Will Barton's just a better shooter. That's the only thing that I can't get over. It's just like RJ's shooting is not on the same level as Will Barton's. And when I look...
But Will Barton came in shooting. He didn't turn into a great shooter until 2015, 2016. His first 3 years, he was a bad shooter from three. 13%, 30%, 27%.
Again, that's where we're talking. It's where are you hitting on curves? Are you trying to match their career arc, or are you saying that where Will Barton's at now is the floor? And that's, for me, is where I was going with...
I think it's where Will Barton is now.
Yeah, that's where I was going with Tim Hardaway Jr. Not only the Knicks connection, but also where he's at now would be my floor for him, because of his usage, because of his volume of shots, and his percentages.
All right. Let's move now to the next question. Andre Raffala, he said, I don't see the Cavs taking Ja. Let's say, for example, the draft is number 1, Knicks take Zion, 2, Bulls take Ja. The Suns take who would... wait. My bad.
Suns, who would they take?
Sorry, there's 2 questions in there. I don't see the Cavs taking Ja. That was at me. And then let's say, for example, the Knicks take Zion at 1, Bulls take Ja at 2, Suns, who would they take at 3? Ricky, you answer the second question first. So if the draft is Zion at 1 to the Knicks, Bulls take Ja at 2, who would the Suns take at 3?
It's either Cam or RJ. And the question is, you have a question to the question here. Who works better with Devin Booker, RJ or Cam? And for me, I am personally torn, because there's part of me, my first instinct was like Cam, because RJ, I'm going to throw it out because they've mentioned it, the Mamba mentality. I don't know if that mentality can mesh with Devin Booker. However, I look at Devin Booker this year, and he's got an assist-to-turnover ratio of 1.7, which is not the highest on the team, not the lowest on the team, and RJ has a better assist-to-turnover rate than Cam Reddish. But also what we talked about earlier, what are we going to expect Cam's role to be in the NBA? I would maybe lean towards Cam Reddish then at 3, but I could see someone making the case for RJ. It just depends which one do you think works better with Devin Booker in the system.
All right. I think the biggest question would be, is Devin Booker your one?
Yeah.
And if he is, then you have to look at, he's not going to be a number one per se like a Chris Paul ever. Mm-hmm. I think then you need to pair him kind of the best way you could with like a Damian Lillard, and look at a way to take the ball handling pressures off of him, and which player is going to do that best. Now I think Darius Garland creeps up into the conversation. He's not going to be going number 3.
Here's the thing that scares me though, and I thought about that.
Yeah.
Is trading back, kind of doing what the Luka Trey thing.
I want to answer if they stick at 3. No trading backs.
Because I wouldn't want to do the trade back because I wouldn't want to pass on like an RJ and being like, great, we should have picked him.
I think Garland creeps into the conversation. Mm-hmm. I think Culver creeps into the conversation, but I don't think that they truly end up making it for sure.
Yeah.
I think it still comes down to RJ or Cam, and then you have to go.
Because trading is an option.
Like trading is always an option, but the question is at 3, who do they take?
Yeah.
So we're
Sean,
not take it out.
It's Nasir, right?
It's Nasir.
Tell us why it's Nasir.
So it's going to be Nasir because Nasir is a natural ball handler.
And Nasir killed it today.
Yeah,
in
1
his
point,
game.
man. 1 point.
1 point.
And how many minutes?
28.
He had a million game. I think it's with the guys on
bunch of zeros.
Yeah, it's whatever the guys on the One Shining Pod call it. If you have 1 point or 1 minute and zeros all across, it's like a million game.
Yep.
But anyways,
I'm taking shots.
It's really what player is going to be best next to Devin Booker, and it kind of goes back to the conversation we just had. Is Cam going to be able to be a guy who can run an offense in a secondary role? And have we seen enough from him? Or RJ already showing that he has been able to dish out assists? He's had a triple-double before against NC State where he had 11 assists. Can he live and thrive in that role? And then also, if we're talking about him possibly turning into a James Harden, having DeAndre Ayton out there is going to make the pick and roll easier. Mm-hmm. So I think that there are pluses because even when Devin Booker's driving, we already know that Cam Reddish is a better shooter. So do you want that spacing out there? And then you have TJ Warren as well, who's developed into a better three-point shooter.
Incredibly.
So can that end up being the right fit? I think it does come down to me, I would take Cam over RJ because the biggest thing that I worry about for the Suns is defense. And I think that it's going to be a little bit of a risk, but I think if you draft RJ, your team's not going to be a playoff team right away. I think if you draft Cam, your team's not going to be a playoff team right away. But you're trying to build for the future. You're trying to leverage yourself best for the future. And I think that if you look at the big 3 of Ayton, Cam, and Devin Booker, they all bring something that the other players don't. Devin Booker brings the unnatural ability that it's very rare in players to see of the ability to get microwave hot. Like he gets to the level of Clay. No one gets to Clay levels, but he gets near that level to anyone that I've seen.
As the guy who, put up the
70.
second,
he put up 70 points as a 21-year-old. Like that, you don't get hotter than that. And I think with Ayton, he brings that unique size, that fluidity from a large athlete that we don't see. Cam brings the possibility of elite defense. He hasn't shown that every game in college, but he brings the possibility of elite defense. Where RJ, I think there's too much of an overlap between him and Devin Booker, not in the microwave sense, but in the ability of wanting to be the number one scorer, where Cam has shown that he probably wants that, but he doesn't need that to thrive.
At least he can function off ball, with which RJ, we haven't seen him successfully work off ball for portions of the season. The team works better when he has the ball in his hands. There's a reason why Trey Jones is an afterthought. He was a top prospect at, I think he was a top 20 or top 50.
He was top 10.
He was top 10, Trey Jones?
I believe so.
Wow.
I
thought he was top 20.
I'll double check it.
But there's a reason he was a great prospect, not only his last name and his family being in basketball, but the fact that he's a super skilled passer and he can score. But his role on this team has basically been, you're the back seat, you can pass the ball to RJ, you can pass it to Zion, but, basically the ball's going to be out of your hands 80% of the time. Hope you're cool with that. And that's just an interesting role for a point guard. So when I look at if we're going to put Devin Booker in a position where he's the one, yes?
Trey Jones was 17.
Oh, nailed it.
One behind Darius Garland.
Which site are you on?
ESPN.
Okay, because 247, same thing, but 15. So same area.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're all different.
But yeah, so I think that's the thing is like you're back to that situation. If Dev's your one, obviously pairing RJ with him, that's a lot of individual usage taken up at the top, and I don't know how well that ball will get shared around when you have someone where I think DeAndre Ayton, if he had a true point guard who would pass him the ball, and a coach who actually game planned around the fact that you have one of the best young centers in the league, he would be a monster, putting up more than easily like 24 points a night, like in his rookie year. Yeah. He absolutely wrecks people. So that's why I'm with you guys. I'm going Cam on this one.
Well, and the other thing too is you mentioned which one, because the defense was one, but also who can play that kind of Robin to Dev Book's Batman.
Yeah.
Cam Reddish, we've seen when Zion is not on the floor and it's him and RJ.
It's funny.
He's had better games, so like that to me shows.
We just had a conversation about how I'd love to see Cam get his own thing, and now we're like pair him up with the same thing but better.
But let's be let's be honest. If I'm the Suns, I'm praying for the second pick.
I'm praying for one or two.
So no. Like Zion will be great.
I'm happy Ja.
But if I'm the Suns, I don't want that burden. I want two, so I can take Ja, and Zion won't even be there.
I think Ja is.
You want to miss on a generational talent potentially.
I wouldn't be mad if I got it, but like Ja's more of a fit, and either one's going to help.
That's an interesting.
Either
statement.
one's going to help.
And
I don't think Ja's going to be.
I disagree with the logic. I don't disagree with the sentiment. You know what I'm saying? Like you want those are the two players you want. It's the same thing with the Bulls.
Yep.
The best fit would be Ja because you already need a point guard.
Yep. But Zion's the Joakim Noah that keeps on giving. The gift that keeps on giving, Dave.
I don't know how Joe can get pulled back into this one, but sure.
Because you called him a gift.
You called him a gift.
Oh, I did.
But I think that, I think that it just turns into the ability of what they can be. It comes down to the potential of Cam.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean that Cam is going to ever not be a number one on a team or even, turn into not a great, ball handler.
Yeah.
But coming in right away, he can fit that role that you need him to fit. And that is going to give him
a glut of wings at that point.
And it's also going to give him a kind of a framework to grow in. It's going to give you the ability of this is the position you're going to play. This is how you're going to grow. I think the question though would just be what position does he play, and does that kick T.J. Warren out of the starting lineup? Do you put Cam at the 2?
I mean, you can. Like
he's
I said,
6'9".
Yeah, but he can. He's athletic.
He's a big boy though.
He can move. His foot speed's actually really good. So
yeah,
I think that's the thing is like you've got. Between him, you've got T.J. Warren, you've got Mikal Bridges, you've got...
That's disgusting.
Potentially, if you want to re-sign Kelly Oubre, who's been playing really well since he moved there. They've got a lot of wing depth, and that's the thing. I don't know who they're sticking with, who's in the long-term plan, but that's a good problem to have. That's like... It's a worse version of what Boston has with wing depth, Yeah. You've got a bunch of young kids who have the potential to do something really good.
I think that, again, if you want to be safe, go RJ. But if you want to go after the potential of what he could be and how that would fit into your system, I think we kept talking about this as well, and people got confused. Like, in the NBA draft, it's not about fit. It's about talent and potential. I think that you can at least blend the two.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, again, what's their potential in the system? I think RJ has a lower potential in the Sun system than Cam does, but I think he's more talented of a player. So it just comes down to your preference. But good question. Let us know. Also, I don't see the Cavs taking Ja. I talked about it. Yeah. He's the best player. He's the best player, and you could possibly turn it into a CJ and Dame type of thing with him and Sexton. Sexton has not been good. He's also not playing with anybody, and he's shown me enough where you can keep him around. And if he's not showing you enough next year next to Ja, you can move him. They did that with Dennis Smith Jr. Ja is your number one. See if Colin Sexton can be your number 2. I think that Colin Sexton still has a lot of potential. The fact that he's grown as a shooter has really impressed me. It's just, can he...
He's so ball hungry. He doesn't make his teammates better.
He doesn't, but also his teammates suck already.
Hey,
like he's not
talking shit about.
I'm talking shit about
Nance,
Tristan
Chetty.
Thompson, Larry Chetty, Larry Nance, Jordan Clarkson, good old Marquise Chris. Like, who the fuck is this
Kevin
guy playing with? David Nwaba. Like, he's not even playing with Kevin Love. Kevin Love's out.
Love's back.
It's just a post LeBron
He just came back
for the large part.
Yeah.
I just think that you can't give up on Colin Sexton because he's playing shit on a shit team. And even then, he's shown some potential.
Devin Booker played amazingly on a shit team.
But that's Devin Booker.
See.
That's a different player.
Like, if you're going to be a standout stud at the top of a draft, a top 10 pick, and you're given the keys to a bad
Devin
franchise,
Booker wasn't even a top 10 pick.
I know. I'm just saying no, but obviously, what's his face was Colin Sexton.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're a top 10 pick and you're given the keys to a bad franchise, and like you said, everybody got cleared out. Like, your best player is injured, so you get to control how well this team can do. And if you're not putting up stupid numbers, I don't even care about efficiency. I don't care about defense. Just stupid numbers time, and you can't do it. I get a little concerned.
I don't know.
I wonder where your top end's at.
He literally just turned 20.
I know. I'm not writing anybody off.
But
I'm just saying.
My thing is, like,
it begs the question.
You were given the keys, and you haven't performed to where you're expecting him he should be, right?
Yeah.
So maybe at least his role is going to change to being a secondary player. And that's why you go out and draft a Ja Morant.
Perhaps.
So that would be my thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you then add... I mean, I think if the best scenario would be that you don't have the ability to take Ja Morant...
And they end up with RJ?
You end up with
shucks.
RJ or Cam. Because
Yeah.
if we're talking about Cam's ability to develop into a secondary ball handler, maybe that's the thing. But, I mean, RJ, I think, would probably be the best fit just because he's shown already that he has that passing ability.
RJ can walk in and drop 20.
So I think that RJ would be the guy if they had their choice between RJ or Cam.
Yep.
But I think if Ja's out there, he has the best potential of any player on the board. If Zion's off the board, he has the best potential. You do not pass that up. I mean, you look back at the Kristaps draft. Like, Jahlil Okafor performed better, right? He was at a better school. He was at Duke. You look at
Kristaps got snubbed, first off. I should say he snubbed the 76ers.
Okay.
He refused to actually play there. He refused to work out for them. That was a whole off-court drama.
Okay, but let's just look at what actually happened in the draft. I'm not saying that, let's take it completely out of context.
Sure.
If you're going back and redrafting that, and you're the 76ers, it doesn't matter if he says that. You're still going to draft him because of the potential that he has. Because Ja, yes, he put up great numbers at Duke, but you look at the potential. And if anyone's going back, you're running back that draft, he's probably going number 2 because I don't think anyone's taking him above. Cat was that number 1, right?
That year?
Yeah.
That was Cat, followed by D'Angelo Russell, Ja, to KP.
Kristaps is going 2.
To Mario Hezonja.
Yeah, Kristaps is going 2 in that one because of the potential that he has as an NBA player.
Wouldn't he go 1? No, his injuries.
No, I would still take Cat over KP.
That's a conversation
Both
for another
healthy,
day.
I would still take Cat.
That's a conversation for another day.
Anyways, let's move on to the next question. I just think that you can't pass up the potential of Ja Morant in that situation. We're going to Sammy Lalani. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's Sameelelani. As a Hawks fans, you always have us drafting Jarrett Culver, and everyone agrees, but y'all never discuss what makes him the more likely 5th pick than everyone else. That was in the 11 through 20, but it is at least going in the chronological order of our draft. Ricky, why don't you start this one off? Why are we putting Jarrett Culver to the Hawks, and what makes him a good fit?
With me, I like what he can bring to the table because for me, who's on the board was DeAndre Hunter, which for me, I think he's going to be a good guy, maybe either off the bench for a second unit or a good defensive guy. Keldon Johnson, honestly, is rising up the board for me and could be in this discussion the next time. But the thing I like about Jarrett Culver and why I think he works with the Hawks is let's just look defensively because I think the three-point shot we've kind of not overlooked, but it's like, oh yeah, he shoots a lot from 3. And well, it's like, all right, his 3 isn't that great. It's not as great as we think it has been.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to tell you in that argument 4 weeks ago.
Defensively,
but what if Zion gets a 3?
I'm right.
Yeah, but once Zion gets a 3, it's all over, man. To shut the league down.
But that's what I was saying.
It's not as great as we think he has been.
You thought he was.
No,
I said
there have been other people that have said
I'm taking the victory lap.
But
you can't change my mind.
Defensively, well, of course, you'll always take the victory
I'm being a dick about this.
But
always,
it's in your name, yeah. But Jarrett Culver, what he brings defensively to me is versatility, where he's a guy that we can draft him, pair him with Kevin Huerter, and Culver's a guy that can defend either 2s or 3s at the next level to where we can both and either way we need, either if he's the 2 behind Kevin Huerter and he's just our defensive, like if Huerter gets in foul trouble or knock on wood gets injured, or we have that same type of player for our second unit, or if they need to put both of them out there at the same time, they can maybe move Huerter to the 3 or move him to the 3. They're the same height, same weight. So I don't know if you'd move either of them to the 3, but he's a 2 that can guard 2s and 3s at the next level.
Here's what I say that I think Hawks fans might bring up. They still have Taurean Prince.
Yeah. I was just saying, I don't think Herder's bigger than him. He's like 6'7".
Well, I mean, he's an inch taller, but like weight-wise, they're both 190. Is what I was saying.
Herder just looks frail.
But also, Culver doesn't look 6'5". He looks like 6'8". Like Culver looks bigger than what he actually is.
We'll see.
We'll wait for the combine.
Yeah, they're similar heights. Okay. They're not exact. We don't know, but they're similar heights.
With shoes.
Similar size.
With shoes.
Yeah. What's he like with shoes?
What's he like
on
with
a Tuesday?
What is he without
but
those
which
shoes?
brand of shoes? Is he wearing the Skechers with a big roll?
Or is he wearing PG-13s with the sole popped out?
Absolutely.
Let's move into the more discussion of for the Hawks though, because like Taurean Prince is still there, and Taurean Prince is probably not going to get moved out of that starting lineup. He might get moved from the team, but if he's there on the team, I don't think he's going to get moved out of the starting lineup because he has shown that he is a pretty good player. So he's their 3, right? So that would mean you're either moving Herder to the bench and putting in Culver, or you're putting Culver to the bench and moving in Herder in the starting lineup.
Bingo.
So, but here's what I would say to that is, I think Hawks fans want to know why Culver over a guy like maybe DeAndre Hunter, who is a natural 3, where Herder's a 2, and maybe why not Rui Hachimura? Because you look at that 4 spot, maybe you move John Collins to the 5. Why not Hachimura to fill out that power forward spot? Or maybe you trade back as well, or maybe you take a Sekou Doumbouya. Why is it Culver for sure? Like, what other names are in the mix for you guys?
You packed a lot in there, so I'll go 1v1.
Well, the question is, what other names are in the mix for you? I think those are the names that are out there.
I'll go 1v1. Culver versus DeAndre Hunter goes back to a decision we had during the mock draft discussion where Jarrett Culver has potential. DeAndre Hunter, I think he's coming out since he's an older player. You know what you're going to get from DeAndre Hunter. Like, he doesn't have a lot to, like, hey, we can work him into this. No, you know what you're going to get, and his potential to me is smaller than Jarrett Culver. Rui Hachimura is interesting. It seems like I'm now one of the few that is still high on Rui, and I think he's going to be something special at the next level when all he's focusing is basketball. He would be interesting, but I don't know if I love his fit for the Hawks with just what they're trying to do. The only one that I think would be interesting and might rival Jarrett Culver is Keldon Johnson. The only difference to me is Keldon Johnson to me is more of the offensive side and is a guard forward kind of mix, whereas Jarrett Culver is the defensive side and is a pure 2.
Well, aren't you saying that he can play the 3?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean by he's a 2-3, whereas Jarrett Culver is a...
I'm saying Culver. You were just talking about...
They're both 2-3s.
I said
I think you could say... I could think they're both probably 2-3s.
No, I said you could, but you probably wouldn't want to. But he could guard
a bit bigger as far as
muscle-wise. Yeah, he's more filled out.
Yep.
That'll be the debate come the next draft, I believe, is Culver versus Johnson for the Hawks. I would still go with that Jarrett Culver because I feel like it fits what the Hawks are trying to build with their team.
Do you agree, Dave?
I like the fit, obviously, of either one of these guys. I just think that Jarrett Culver has the ability to do like some silly stuff as far as from a physical standpoint on the defensive end. He is one of the best out there. And you mentioned, Keldon's a little bit better offensively, but like Jarrett Culver's defensive ratings here is like 84. And I know Texas Tech as a group, last year we talked about them with Zaire Smith and how good they were. He was at like a 93 last year. So they've taken it another notch, which is truly impressive. I agree his three-point shooting has not been great, but on the volume he's shooting, he probably shouldn't be. Some of those are ill-advised or situational, but...
Are you talking about Culver?
Yeah.
I don't think it's... my whole argument that it wasn't high enough.
You think he's taking 5 a game, and you think that's
he's taking
not
4
high
a game.
enough?
I'm
sorry. I'm looking at the per 40.
Yeah, so my thing is he's taking 3.7 a game,
which
is pretty much, I think Keldon's taking 3.4.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing when looking at it was like, people were like, oh, he's a great 3-and-D player. Well, it was like, I don't know that because I think he's taking very pointed shots. He's taking the shots that are open. He was making 1.5 out of 3.9 attempts last year for 38%. But you look at the free throw percentage, it's a big thing that we've made up out of. He's gone up 4%, but he's still only at 68%. So is he going to be a great three-point shooter? That's a large question for Jarrett Culver. I want to see more out of him from deep because I want to actually be able to get a better gauge.
Especially with his free throw percentage being sub 70%.
Yeah, is he going to be a good three-point shooter? That's why I want to see the higher volume in it because the higher volume, is he going to be a better three-point shooter? That's what I want to see.
I honestly look at Jarrett Culver, and I see a lot of the things that I liked out of an early Andre Iguodala. And he's someone who can put the clamps on people defensively. Obviously, Iggy got better at it with time, and I think that was just a little bit of it was the role change as he moved over to the Warriors. But his early days in the 76ers, I really like what he can do from a physical standpoint. He absolutely, like you said, he is bigger than he looks, but at the same time, it's just going to come down to what do they really want in that role, and I think that they're going to value that ability to play defense from Jarrett Culver over the potential upside shooting from Keldon Johnson right now. Keldon Johnson is a very consistent scorer on his team, but I think the defense weighs out on a team where you have an open turnstile with Trey at the 1. You need someone else who can go out there and play wing defense and help provide because that team is, I want to say they're 30th or 28th in defensive rating. Like the Hawks are awful on the defensive end.
To help you with the Andre Iguodala comp, in college he shot 78% from the line in his sophomore year. So he was a pretty good free throw percent shooter. He wasn't a great at least he wasn't a great shooter at all. He wasn't above 30% from three in any of his years. And then for the Hawks, they are currently 28th out of 30th in defensive rating. I think it's an interesting thing. I mean, what can Keldon do then to put himself into that argument at fifth? Because right now he's not there yet in your mind.
No, he's getting there. Like by the next
But what does he need to do to get, like, what do you need to see more from him?
If we had the mock draft today, he would be there, basically, is what I'm saying.
He would be your fifth pick?
He would be, not my fifth pick, but I would be
what
debating.
Does he need to get, what does he need to do to be at the fifth? What do you need to see more from Keldon Johnson to move up the board that much?
Defense. That's what I need. Because what it comes down, if I'm comparing Culver and Johnson for the Hawks, is you look at Keldon Johnson, he's got the spot-up shooter ability that you may want. Hey, stand outside, Trey will hit you. He's hitting 40% from three this year. He's also a guy that, like, I'm looking right here on CBS Sports, they explain it, and they say, for example, his energy and bounce could earn him a shot at making an instant impact with down-the-line glue guy potential. I read that and I go, cool, that could work for the Hawks, being the glue guy with this young talent growing up. But it depends on what you value more. Do you want that offensive guy who can shoot from three? Or like Dave was talking about, a guy who can be a defensive guy next to Trae Young to kind of cover up a deficiency that we have known for Trae Young? And I feel like they'll go with Jarrett Culver because unless you think Kevin Huerter is that guy, because I will say it again, this GM coming over from the Warriors, Steph and Clay, that's the model. Clay is the defensive stopper. Steph Curry, deficiency at defense. Clay makes up for it. That's what they'll need here.
So with Huerter, you have half a Clay, and the other Culver, you have half a Clay. You merge them together. There you go. You get a Clay.
You get a Clay.
And then Trae Young is like, what?
Mini Steph.
Like he's 25% Steph.
Yeah, he's mini Steph.
So I don't know.
I mean, is he better passer than Steph?
Yes, he's a better passer than Steph. But I
love your like initial like face of anger at me, and you're like, oh shit.
He's a better passer than Steph, but he'll never be the scorer that Steph is.
Yeah,
he, like in the multitude of ways that Steph can.
I feel like
let's wait a couple years.
The hotness that Steph can get. Ricky,
let's wait a couple years. We didn't think Steph Curry would be Steph Curry rookie year.
It's true, and he's putting up better numbers than Steph Curry did. From a scoring point, not from an efficiency point, because his efficiency is
I'm just saying, give it a couple years. I'm not saying he will, but like, let's not shoot a guy down his rookie year.
Ricky's saying, don't cap it. Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not saying
Steph's the
greatest. I'm not saying cap it.
Steph's the greatest three-point shooter we've ever seen. He's one of the best point guards we've ever seen.
Let it ferment.
But
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I will just say
I don't know where to go
the
from
best
there.
of both worlds in my mock draft. You got Keldon Johnson and Jarrett Culver. There you go. Why pick? You got both of them.
Because you don't need both, and you need a center.
That's the thing.
They do got
I
two
will berate
picks.
you to take Jackson Hayes.
With 9, I think Jackson Hayes is the pick. Bol I think is too dangerous in my opinion.
Yeah.
But again, that's where we disagree. We'll know more about Bol once he becomes healthy. But let's move on from the Hawks. I think the biggest thing for Culver, that if we can sum it up, it's his defense, and no one on that team right now, at least who you've drafted in the past 2 years, brings that defensive upside like Culver does. Keldon Johnson is in the mix though, because the need that you probably need is probably a 3 or a more solid 2, because is Kevin Huerter's ceiling a starter? We're not entirely sure yet, but he is a great shooter. Let's move into the 6th question. It's from Washed. I'll throw up if Wizards draft DeAndre Hunter.
I appreciate the honesty.
It is. It's honest. I think that, again, it's kind of a boring pick.
Here's the thing, and I just want to speak to Wash really quick. Who would you rather than? Like, these are the one comments where it's like, I love the comments, but go
in more depth.
Like, not more depth, just say, I would throw up with this. This is who they should take. Like, let me know who you want so I can talk about it a little more.
I think it's not a sexy pick. I think it's exactly what we talked about with Mikal Bridges last year.
Yeah.
He's more of a finished product. He's not going to be growing into what Bradley Beal became. We see how great that pick was, picking him so young and how he's developed. I think he's still only like 19 years old.
I mean, he's been in the league for like, what,
15 years? Yeah, he's 15 years and he's like 7.
And he's still younger than,
I think he's younger than Malcolm Brogdon or some shit.
Oh,
I think he's older than him. But I mean, you look at the ability of some of the guys that you've taken and the potential of them growing and how they have grown well as young players. You probably want to go back to that. But I think the biggest thing with the Wizards is they're kind of positioning themselves to just continue to go with this core. So if you're going with this core of John Wall, Bradley Beal, Satoransky, I mean, that's really the core is just Wall and Beal. And Wall is clearly injured and will be out for a long time, I think, until February next year. But
that's we'll wait and see if he's going to play post All-Star break.
I think what Hunter brings to you, though, and I think the biggest thing that you need to look at is that he's going to bring starter minutes right away. He's going to fill out that lineup. And at least with what the GM wants to do and what the Wizards want to do as an organization is at least try to hit in this window. They made a mistake in the John Wall contract, but maybe you don't need to make a mistake. It doesn't need to be a mistake where you're missing the playoffs. So at least with that, position yourself to put out the best starting lineup possible. And yes, it might not be the most youthful and potential filled, but DeAndre Hunter is such a quality player that brings great defense, that can play off ball. He's more of what you wanted Otto Porter to be.
I was going to say, I was going to go low energy and just be like, you just traded Otto Porter. You want an Otto Porter replacement. There you go.
Pretty much. And I think the thing with Otto Porter, too, is you went really young. You were the 3rd pick. You went young for a player that had potential, and you put him into a pigeonholed role. And clearly he's shown, at least moving away from the Wizards and even in spots with the Wizards,
of hope.
That he is more than just that pigeonholed player. I think that with DeAndre Hunter, I think it's going to be fine that he's pigeonholed because he is a glue guy. He is a leader out there. He might be able to at least help the cohesiveness of this lineup, and he'll be able to play efficiently on both sides of the ball, both defensively and offensively. He might never peak over 15 points per game, but when you have John Wall, who's good for at least 21 a night when healthy, and Bradley Beal, who's shown that he's good enough for like 26 a night when healthy, you do not really need that. It's just giving you a solid player at a position that is so important in the NBA, and it just makes your job easier of filling out that starting lineup because, hey, now we only need to focus on the 4 and the 5, and it makes our job easier because we have John Wall locked down, we have Bradley Beal locked down. Let's just keep this train rolling. And I think that's the idea of the Wizards. You guys are underperforming because John Wall was injured. Dwight Howard hasn't panned out. You had to trade away Morris.
Dwight Howard didn't work out because he's injured. I mean, that's...
that's what I'm saying. He hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I want to asterisk that.
Whether he's injured or not,
still had some life in him.
I'm just saying whether he's injured or not, it hasn't worked out. He hasn't played.
That's fine.
I think that you just need to find solid players that can play for you. DeAndre Hunter is that. So yes, it might not be the sexiest pick, but I think for the Wizards, where they're going, I think that is the right pick. Is there anyone in your mind though that might be fitting into a more of an exciting pick than DeAndre Hunter?
Keldon Johnson.
Why Keldon Johnson?
Because of the only thing I can think of is because the 3 is where I want to go. And the one thing that I would throw in there is if you're thinking DeAndre Hunter is a boring pick, then you can go with a more offensive 2-3 in Keldon Johnson. However, would that even be a good fit with John Wall and Bradley Beal? Like, that's what this team needs to figure out is they didn't move Bradley Beal to trade deadline. Where's your direction? Are you still going to go with these guys? Not going to go with these guys? Mm-hmm. And if you're going to go with these guys, then you might have to go to DeAndre Hunter to not mess up what you have between them both.
I'm going exciting. If you want exciting, you're going bull. You're bringing him back.
Jesus Christ.
What? You want exciting?
If you want exciting and injury-riddled, bring him back.
Think about it. They don't expect to win anything next year, so you're going to have another top pick. So if he's not healthy enough to play, you don't have to worry about it. John Wall will be out, like we said, until likely February, if not later. You have a guy who has an incredible upside of being one of the best shooting big men we've ever seen. Think about it.
I will think about it. Here's the counter argument to that. You have Bradley Beal currently locked up.
Yep.
If Bradley Beal gets extremely annoyed with the direction of this franchise and you continue to lose, that means you can lose Bradley.
That's why I mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
What?
His dad was drafted by Washington Bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we brought up Bring It Back.
Well, yeah, I didn't.
Thank you for explaining the joke.
Sorry, I don't remember who Manute Ball was drafted by.
How do you not remember that?
Because I don't.
He was known as a wizard.
Okay.
Well, a bullet.
A bullet. Whatever. Same Washington franchise. They changed their name. But
I mean, for obvious reasons.
Yeah. I think the thing, though, would be the counter argument is you need to make Bradley Beal happy.
He's
yes,
under contract.
But we've seen that players have so much power that they can force their way out. And if you make yourself, he might sign with Rich Paul and be gone in the next day. Like, that's the thing with Bradley Beal is I think you need to be able to.
He might be a Laker.
You need to be able to, position yourself to keep your players happy and make those positions because you can end up.
You can trade him.
It could be worst case scenario. Back. It could be worst case scenario of you draft Ball, you continue to lose games, you trade Bradley Beal, John Wall's never healthy, so you have John Wall, who's an injured asset at $47 million, Ball, who's never healthy and injured,
but what if
and then you get a bad pick.
This was his first major injury. He had been playing basketball his whole life.
But he's also playing against worse competition.
I don't care. The man shoots like a goddamn trebuchet, and it goes in, Sean. Do you know how important that is when you're above 7 feet tall? When you're 7'3"?
And do you know how important that is when you're as slow as Ball is?
It is super valuable that he is.
If DeAndre Ayton's closing out that dude, do you think he's making a three? No.
Yes, he will shoot right over him.
How? Ayton's like 7'2" with a massive wingspan, and he's
taller than him
quicker.
with a longer wingspan.
Okay, and DeAndre Ayton is
longer and taller.
It's a very minuscule difference between at least when we're talking about that giant of players. When we're talking about 7'5" compared to 7.
The dude shot 52% from three on 3 attempts a game.
Tell him, Moose.
Okay, and he wasn't going up against NBA. He wasn't going up against NBA level defenders.
Of course, he can't go up against NBA level defenders. So they're not in the Pac-12.
So when he is, what is he going to be able to do? When he goes up against Pac-12 defenders in the NBA like DeAndre Ayton, what is he going to be able to do?
Lot buff 10%. He's still in the upper echelon of shooting in the NBA.
I do not think he's going to come in his rookie year and shoot 40% from 3. That is absolutely ridiculous.
75% from the line, 52 from 3, and 57 from basically inside the arc.
Who is he playing against?
He's 7'2". It doesn't matter.
He's 7'5".
It doesn't matter.
Is he 7'2"? Then he's the same type.
He's 7. I'm going by the, and I will correct myself. He's going by the Sports Reference for college basketball height of 7'2".
I believe Ayton's 7'1".
When he's measured, I know he's at least 7'3". The question is he taller than that at this point?
I just think that with his injury concerns and his slowness.
But we're going exciting, Sean. This man said he wanted to. We're reading into his comments saying excitement.
That's stupidity. That's like, hey, we're gonna jump off with old bungee. We're gonna jump off the Golden Gate Bridge with old bungee ropes.
Ernie Grunfeld, man, like he
doesn't make it fine. He's a bad GM.
I'm rationalizing it. You're saying they want to make the playoffs again, and I'm going, yeah, but they're going to make the playoffs and lose, like, whatever. Like, I've wanted to believe in the Wizards team for the last 4 years. You guys have had to listen to me talk about how they could be a team to take it in the East, and they choke every single time.
Let's do
this right.
Fed up with this.
Let's rebuild. You've got Bradley Beal under contract. Don't worry about it. John Wall under contract. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
You can't rebuild those players on the roster.
Yeah, you totally can. They're not winning games, are they?
That's because one of them's injured.
Yeah, and he's going to be injured all of next year. So you're going to have another
but the other one,
pick.
Bradley Beal, is not injured.
Yeah.
And we have seen that players have, when they're upset and angry, he's been in trade rumors before, he can leverage his way out.
He can try.
I think that he will be able to.
But they will get some value for him is the point. Like, I'm sorry, if you wanted to get, if I had an offer of Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, and a first, I think I would take that for Bradley Beal.
But here's the thing.
Maybe
Dave,
switching Brandon Ingram for one of them.
Okay.
I think I would take that as valuable trade assets.
Here's the thing.
And
you know
pieces
who
moving
might
forward.
not become a trade partner next year? The Los Angeles Lakers.
Right.
If they get Anthony Davis and they get Kyrie Irving, goodbye Bradley Beal. You're not going to Los Angeles, right?
But the
so there
Clippers
takes
could.
away a team. What?
The Clippers could, which means draft picks.
Okay, that's fine. I'm talking strictly about the Lakers, who Dave brought up.
The New York Knicks could. I'm just
listen to me. Listen to me.
It's not like him being moved is the worst thing in the world.
It's not.
He
but
will
I'm
give
saying
you back young value to match a timeline that might better fit your needs.
I'm saying if Bradley Beal is making the demand of I want to be traded, it's going to take down his value. So if they're making the decision,
because that's really taking down Anthony Davis's value.
He's not traded, right?
Yeah, but that's because
we don't
the
know what his
ownership
value
problems.
is.
That's because they have an old woman in charge of a franchise that's actually a football franchise, and they felt bad, so they just bought the basketball one to keep it. Like, this was a spite move done by someone who's not in the business. Don't think
I'm not saying
the fact that GM was fired sends a message.
Here's the thing.
Anthony Davis's value has not dropped one bit since him not getting traded at the deadline.
We do not know that.
Oh, we actually do know that because now there's more suitors available.
Dave,
because 29 other teams.
What I'm saying is that we can come into... I'm not saying that Anthony Davis has become a worse player at all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they're going to get a worse... I'm not saying that they're going to get a worse haul. I'm just saying that if the Wizards are in a position like the Pelicans were, and they don't have the luxury of waiting for a Boston like the Pelicans do, because Bradley Beal and Anthony Davis are not the same players, it could bring down Beal's value. If Bradley Beal's making the trade request, it can bring down his value, where if the Wizards want to make the trade, it will make him more valuable, okay? I do not think the Wizards are going to come to the decision of wanting to trade Bradley Beal. I think it's a dangerous game if a player is making the value. It could end up being the same value. They can end up getting the same haul. I just think that they're in a position to keep the train going. I'm not saying that means they're going to be a top 4 team in the East if they do. I'm just saying that I think that they are in the mindset of keeping this team and this core around. So I think that they would go with DeAndre Hunter, and I think if you're going with Bobo, it's playing too close to the edge.
I think that if you go Bobo, it's the upside's incredible. And the fact that in a year from now, you could be competing with a absolutely loaded roster of John Wall, Bradley Beal, insert any random guy at the 3 and the 4, because I don't honestly know
next draft class.
Well, I don't know where they're going to go with the roster this offseason. And then Bobo in there, either at the 4 or the 5, like they absolutely could be in great position.
So does that mean your next mock draft you're putting Bobo to the Wizards?
If I don't want this man to throw up, I am.
Okay, but if you're the GM, who are you taking?
If I'm Ernie Grunfeld or if I'm me?
If you're Ernie Grunfeld, if you're Ernie Grunfeld and you're...
I'm loving life right now because I own a basketball team.
He's the GM, he doesn't own it.
Yeah, he basically owns it. Like, let's be honest, ownership's one thing. The GM, you have more fun.
Who would you be taking if you're Ernie Grunfeld for the Wizards? With the board that you have,
the fact that he doesn't even like they drafted Troy Brown Jr. and they can't use him pisses me off to no end. So that's why I would agree, and they will probably go with the board and DeAndre Hunter. But I think Bol is one of those guys where people have put him off of their boards or pushed him back far enough to a safe team like the Celtics, where it's like we can throw away a first round pick on this potential guy, who may or may not give us reasonable minutes, and who knows what he'll do, who knows how long he'll be healthy. But if you just look at upside of a player in this draft, you can't tell me there's a lot of guys above Bol.
I cannot. But also I think that the floors don't get as low as Bol. You
missed on your first round pick. Big whoop.
Well, I think that
they missed on Troy Brown Jr. last year.
I think it comes into the discussion between Michael Porter Jr. and Bol. I think that they're very similar. Look where MPJ went. MPJ was arguably the most talented player in that draft. Injuries pushed him back. I think it's going to be the same thing with Bol, although he's not the most talented player in this draft. He might have one of the more higher ceilings, but that doesn't mean he is the most talented. Ricky, save us, please. What are your thoughts on the Wizards? I mean, do you think it's DeAndre Hunter through and through, or do you think that Bol or any other player might sneak their way
like
in
I
for the Wizards.
said, if
Keldon
I would go
Johnson.
DeAndre Hunter, but Keldon Johnson might be a guy that comes up here. But hey, you know what?
Are you buying in? Are you buying what I'm selling?
Fuck it, why not?
Yes!
You know what?
I got one.
Like,
I got one.
it'd be something different, but I would probably go Keldon Johnson. That's, if I was going different than
Thanks
DeAndre
for
Hunter.
just-
I would
Dagger in
love.
the back.
I would love, and I don't know why, because I think even in our way too early
This is
mock
fun.
draft,
This is fun, guys. I like this.
in our way too
I
early
had
mock
Bobo
draft.
going 9, didn't I?
Well, no, and you had him going
I
10.
had him going
Oh.
9.
And you had him going 3.
Oh, I thought you were talking
Yes,
about this
Ricky,
time.
no, Ricky had him going 3. Dave had him going 10. I didn't have him on my board.
Yeah.
I've been extremely worried about him.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to be the hardest critiquer
To win over.
of,
I
of
understand.
ball. I am nervous even putting him at 14. The fact that the Celtics have that pick is the reason why I'm doing it.
Yep.
They have the ability to take a chance.
And you're not
on him.
alone there.
And if the Celtics, but
And
the
who
thing is,
who had the 3 pick in the way too early that I have him go to? The exact same pick. Celtics via the Kings.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's funny. But I would say if the Celtics were not there and it was a different team that didn't have that luxury, he would be even lower. I am extremely, extremely worried about his ability to hold up in the NBA. And that might just mean it's a steal and I might look stupid. I'm fine with that. I'm just worried about his ability to hold up. Let's move into the next one, though. We'll get off the Wizards. Let's move into this question from M-O space D, might be Mod Rogers, or M-O D Rogers. So Mo D Rogers. John Morant is severely overrated. Garland and even Kobe White are better. Trust me. John Morant is not a very good shooter and has questionable decision-making. Sure, the athleticism and passing are neat, but it's hard to envision a deck other than skinny Westbrook without the overpower. Garland can literally be the next Dame. Kobe is a 6'5" shooting guard who's smooth and can shoot the lights out. That was on our 1 through 10. Dave, you are the biggest John Morant stan on the table. Talk about John Morant and why he's not severely overrated, because I think that's your stance.
MOD Rogers, when you say trust me, I can't because you're a random YouTuber. Like, you have no credentials. So I appreciate you coming here and dropping the trust me there.
Random YouTubers
I know.
with barely no credentials.
I don't trust
We have
other
just done a
people.
podcast for 3 years.
Hey, I've got credentials. I was a sports writer.
And I'm a broadcast
He was a paid
journalist.
sports writer.
I wrote for Fansided.
And I was a broadcast journalist award winner, college radio.
There you
I
go.
wrote for, I was also that.
So if someone hits me up with a trust me, it takes a little bit more than that. Just comment of knocking on this guy with very little around it. But Josh shooting, it's not amazing, but it has improved, which is what you want to see. He's a second-year player in college. He went from 52% inside the arc to 57%. Went from 30% from 3 to 33%. He's getting better. Like, that's the thing. You have to keep looking at it. It got better. And most importantly, from the line, 80% last year, 80% this year on double the attempts. That's exactly what you want to see. These are the markers of someone who is working to improve their shot, to continue to improve it, and that will translate directly at the next level. So you have to understand that while it's not great right now, he still has a 61% true shooting rating. Like, respect the fact that the man gets the ball in the bucket. I don't care how he does it. It gets there at a very high rate. Sorry, Darius Garland. Yeah, he's got potential to be absolutely an offensive dynamo. I loved him coming out of high school. College, obviously, we only got to see a handful of games before we were robbed of him, but the dude can score. I wonder about his ability to create for others, because I don't think that he has a great niche for that. I think his role is just score. So I see him more in a, like, you mentioned, I think Dame, yeah, he could be the next Dame. I think he could be the next CJ. I think he's more of a guy who is two guard, who is able to score a bunch, but he's not a facilitator. He's not out there to run an offense, but he absolutely has a massive upside. But also, again, double-edged sword. Defensively, I don't know that he will be able to provide much there, where John Morant at least has the fact of his elite athleticism to try to make up for that, because Ja, no doubts about it. I'm going to get comments for that because it's a callback to the first one.
Yeah, well, I mean,
a good athlete.
That's the only big negative that I think might hurt Ja at the next level is you're going to have, like, you can't do it all by yourself.
Yeah,
You have
that's
to
a
get
positive for
your
him.
teammates going, and you said there's sometimes where he's unable to get his teammates going, where it's
Ja?
just all on Ja. Didn't you just say that?
He's getting
Who's
10
talking
assists a
about,
game.
who's talking about Garland?
Garland
You're talking about Garland.
Garland doesn't facilitate.
The thing
well.
that I looked at, though, was with this comment, the only two things that really worried me were the comparisons. Because of Westbrook
He wants
and
to say Skinny
Dame.
Westbrook. I want to say Allen Iverson.
Well, even that. I look at Westbrook and Dame, and I go, the only two things I don't like about that is I don't think Russ or Dame are ever going to be NBA champions. And that's the thing where Ja, I think, will be a great player in the NBA. The only question is he going to be an NBA champion level point guard?
I got just real quick.
Go ahead.
The fact that Russ was nearly an NBA champion multiple times. We're not going to mention the fact that his team in the West with the Thunder were basically on the precipice of NBA championships.
And that's it. Of like.
So I don't
Russ
think
on his own,
he's not going to be a champion line against Russell Westbrook just because Colin Cowherd wants to hate on him.
No.
I don't appreciate that line
Russ
of
on
thought.
his own is not going to be an NBA champion.
No one on their own is going to be an NBA championship. Name me one guy who won 1v5.
Bill Russell.
No, he didn't.
Probably.
No.
I mean, there's no tape.
Look at the team. How many of
Look
them
at all the other teams.
How many of them are in the Hall of Fame?
Mom, Dad, let's get back to the point.
What I'm saying is, yes, the Boston Celtics of that era were great, but also if you took all four of the other guys off the team, Bill Russell probably could have won. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Same with Wilkes. Go ahead, Ricky.
For me, it's with Ja, who is he going to be paired up with? Who is going to be that Kevin Durant, that Paul George, that Russ is paired up with? Who's going to be that guy?
Well,
isn't it Zach LaVine?
That's why you can't say, he's not going to be an NBA champion because it depends on what team he goes to.
Yeah.
If Russ was on the Warriors, he'd probably be a 3-time NBA champion.
Yeah, but he's not.
Okay, but
that's the whole thing.
But it's not the talent or the player; it's the team.
That's the point I was making is Ja's going to be really good. He's going to be really good. I don't have any questions.
What makes him good? That's what Mo is bringing up is the fact that he doesn't believe he's going to be very good. So you can't just say he's going to be very good. Well, what makes him very good?
You know what? I'll throw it out there. I feel like most of the people, and Mod, if you're different, come at me. It's Mo.
I think it's Mo.
Mo D. Rodgers?
Yeah, Mo.
I like it. I like it.
Come at me so we can have a conversation about it, and it's not one-sided. I just feel a lot of people put Ja down because he's from Murray State.
He never said that, though. He was going after him as a player. He was going after him as a player. So I don't think that is. I think the skinny part is something that is definitely a fair criticism.
Yeah, he lands not quite as badly as Derrick Rose, but it still hurts to watch sometimes.
But I think something that we should take into consideration is that he is from Murray State, and Murray State doesn't have these level of facilities that Duke does or Arizona does. And when he gets to an NBA team, he can possibly change his body. Now, I'm not saying it's as bad as Greece was for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but look what he did when he got to a Bucks facility and he got to an NBA level gym. I think that's something that you can look into. And once he's getting the money to spend to hire a personal trainer, hire a nutritionist, he might be able to take on more weight. So I think you can't look at just his body and framework without taking that into context of the fact that he's not playing at a primetime school where he's getting a ton of money from endorsers. He's playing at Murray State, which is not going to help his ability to grow. But if you look at a pure talent, his pure athleticism, and some of the outlying numbers, like the 80% from the free throw line, I think it's something that can't be denied that his potential is. I think that his potential is a slight notch below Zion Williamson. And for this class, I think that's high because I think RJ, Cam, they're probably more solid pros and have a higher floor than John Morant does, without a doubt. But the potential there is better than RJ, and it's better than Cam. I think that's what you have to look at because yes, he's not a very good shooter, and he has that 5 turnovers a game. But also, what teammates are he playing with?
A game though too.
Mm-hmm. What teammates is he playing with?
Yeah.
So it's like, and you could also bring up the counter argument. We will never understand and see where he's at until he gets to the NBA. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing with John Morant. There are positives, there are negatives, but I think the potential is the biggest positive that he has. It's not as his athleticism. It's not his defensive abilities. It's not his passing. It's his potential, and I think that's what you have to hit home at when you're looking at John Morant. I think that the AI stuff is a little bit overblown because AI was an incredible creator. He was an incredible shooter as well. Ja is not that player. Yet, I think that Westbrook is probably his most similar comparison when you talk about his play style. I think he's going to make most of his money driving and passing and running an offense. But that does not mean he can't be more than a Westbrook or that he won't be worse than a Westbrook.
Iverson's shooting percentages aren't so hot. I'm just saying.
But Iverson developed into a better shooter.
Yeah.
I think that AI was a guy that put up 32. I don't think Ja's ever going to be up to that level.
4. But on that year, I mean, his split was incredible. Yeah, it was. Shit.
What year are you talking about?
A 102.
Oh, I'm talking.
Shit,
I mean, look when he came into the league. I mean, he was shooting 34% from outside.
Yeah.
So I think that and he wasn't. He in his career was 31% from three. And wasn't that great of a free throw shooter when he came in. But I just think that he might be able to do what AI did coming in right away at 23.5, but I don't think he's ever going to get up to 33 or 30.
Yeah, that's probably just a different play style. I mean, that was AI on an island doing his thing now.
Mm-hmm. So. And that island almost got him to the NBA Finals.
It did get him to the Finals.
Any more on either Garland, Kobe versus
Kobe?
Ja?
I'll just give a shout out. He's a very good player. Don't get me wrong. But the problem is, it's hard to say what role he is because he is playing in such a rigid system. Basically, it's a veteran-heavy team in North Carolina with one of the best coaches in college basketball. And I think it was basically he's set in the best position to succeed as a point guard or two guard, depending on whichever way you see him paying out as a combo guard in the NBA. I absolutely think that he can be a very good player. I don't know top end where he's going to be at. He might have a higher floor, but that's safer. Yeah. He is a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's just I don't think anybody's got him going in their top 10 where Darius Garland and Ja are both just oozing with potential.
It's easier for Kobe to score too because you mentioned the veteran presence. He's showing a great ability to score at all three levels, but also when you have guys that can open up spacing for you, make 3-point shots easier, make it easier to drive to lane, then help defenders are coming over. Yeah. They're late, they're following you. It's going to be easier for you to score those points. I'm not taking anything away from Kobe White. I think he's been fantastic. He's for sure a near lottery pick, if not in there. He is a guy that has that talent. He's definitely a guy to be looking out for. I just think that you look at Ja and the potential again is unmatched when it comes to the guards of this draft class. Because I think Garland would be near there because I think he does have that ability to, at his peak, be near a Dame. But I just think that the injury took him down just a little bit because we weren't able to see it. And also, again, can he be a facilitator? He's also not as big as Dame is. I think he's 6'2". And obviously, again, going off college measurements, we're not really sure, but I think right now he was around 6'2" last time I saw. So he is smaller than Dame was. Let's move into the next one, though. Ricky, we're going to you. Jamal Cofield. This is where we get into the Magic. It took him about another hour and 19. We'll make sure we put timestamps for this one. Hour 19 to get to the Magic. But Jamal said, you mean 1 through 9, completely skipped the Magic. Wow, guys. Again, not on purpose.
24 seconds. You got your mention. You got all you deserve.
We got locked up into our own discussion.
Yeah, I will say, I'm going to say this too. I was the white knight for you guys because right after we were recording, I was like, yeah, we really talked about the Magic, guys.
You said you
really missed out.
I said, my bad, and I didn't want to record.
I felt really bad about not talking about the Magic.
They need a shooting guard. They need the best available shooting guard. Or combo guard if you really want to go that way.
Yeah. So
and that's really all there was to it.
But fans want to hear us talk about their team. Dave.
And that's why we're going to do it. So looking at our mock drafts, I had only available was Romeo Langford, and I ended up going with him for the 2-guard slot. Dave only had Keldon Johnson available because Romeo went to the Pelicans at 8. So that's why that discussion really wasn't there. Again, we wanted the 2 guards. Those were the best 2 guards available. But Ricky, you had both available. You had Keldon going to the Heat at 11 and the Magic taking Romeo at 10. So why is Romeo a better fit in your mind for the Magic compared to Keldon Johnson?
I mean, Magic fans, you're not going to like me for this, but yeah, I had you go Romeo, even though Keldon was there. At this point, it would have been like if we recorded it now, I'm starting to come around a little bit more to Keldon Johnson, so I'd probably flip that. But let's be honest, in the 4.0, you're probably still going to get Romeo Langford because Keldon Johnson will probably be taken before your pick.
So what has Romeo not done that Keldon has done to move up the board?
For me, the big thing was that the big thing for me, and this might be the most true with the Magic, is we make fun of them for how many starters they got, but how many starters they have.
12.
And the thing that Keldon Johnson brings is, like the CBS mock draft that I brought up earlier, they labeled him as a potential glue guy. Maybe that's what the Magic need. A guy who can be their glue guy and kind of bring everyone together. Whereas Romeo, yes, I put him there, but I've never been the highest on Romeo Langford. I just, from what I see, he's good. I just don't know if he's going to be great at the next level. And there's other guys that I would take over him, although I think he's a top 10 prospect, if that makes sense.
See, I disagree that they need a glue guy. I think the problem is they have too many glue guys. They have Terrence Ross coming off the bench, who's a massive glue guy who gives them so much coming off the bench. He's great. I think Isaac, who does everything well for them, is a glue guy. Aaron Gordon, a guy who took a pay cut. He's got a front-loaded contract. Like, not a lot of guys do that. That's a glue guy mentality.
Ideally,
Vucevic,
they're a
team. Being the veteran leader, that's a huge thing as well. I think the only guy that you can't really label that would be Evan Fournier, who chucks up terrible shots. But like DJ Augustine as well. Mm-hmm. He's a glue guy as well. I think that the thing that they're missing is a star, in my opinion.
And they got that Markelle Fultz. I just wanted to toss that out there. If I gave him the praise for that one.
I was going to say maybe they're a team. What if they do like what the Mavs did last year? Find a guy that's above them and trade up for him. Like that.
Who would they be trading up for then?
Whether it's a Darius Garland, because I know they got Markelle, but that changes everything. Usually it was, Darius Garland would be perfect. Darius Garland, whether it's trading up for a Jarrett Culver, if someone falls from that like 5, like Culver may fall. We don't know how the draft will go.
Give me a name. Who is the best fit that you see that they should trade up for? That they should not miss out, that should be the best fit for the Magic team that you think could be that glue guy for you?
I'm going to say Garland or Johnson, only because I see both of them right now being above the Magic. And the reason why I say that is Garland, I say, because I don't believe in Markelle Fultz. I think it's going to be, yes, it's we're giving up and we're taking that risk. I don't think the risk is going to pay off. That's why I would get Garland. But Keldon Johnson, like, he's a guy that can just score. And like we mentioned for the Hawks, they were like, do you want offense or defense? Well, for the Magic, you need a guy that, yes, I mentioned glue guy, but Keldon Johnson could also be a guy that becomes the leader of this team, that molds into it. And his offense of what he brings to the table could be something special to this team, but they may have to trade up to get it.
Dave, where do you stand on the glue guy star potential, and do you think they should trade up? Or do you think that if they're in this spot and they know that Keldon or Romeo is there, that they should just stay hold?
I'd be cool with Keldon or Romeo. I'll be honest with you. I think both those guys fit a very good role on that team. Romeo would be a direct replacement for Evan Fournier going forward. I know Evan's still locked up under contract, but it's like that is the guy who I would put the money into. In his last couple of games, he's been playing really well.
Yep.
We talked about him struggling from 3 earlier in the season. In his last, 7 games, he's putting up 16 points a game with a shooting split of 43, 38, 77 with 5 attempts from 3 a game, performing really well. And I think that's what we expected, was that 3-level score out of Romeo Langford. We were really hoping that he would have done that earlier. Instead, he scared the living shit out of us. We're like, oh shit, he just choked on the biggest stage. But everything's kind of falling back in ease, and I think he's cementing himself in that conversation.
And you know what Indiana is in those last 7 games? 1-6.
Yeah.
They have lost a ton of those games. But you're right. And I think that Romeo has shown that ability to turn it back on. Because I think at the start of the season, he was turning it on. I mean, he was averaging, through his first 17 games, he was averaging 18.8 points. The biggest thing that you do mention, though, is that he wasn't shooting well. He was shooting 50% from the field, which is great. But then it was that 23% from 3, which was worrying us. And then 73%
we were like
from
king
the
of
line.
The mid-range.
He's become a smarter player and taking better shots. And I think that's something that's great. It's not helping Indiana, but I think it is something that is extremely helping him as a player and as a prospect. And if I'm the Magic, if it is up against Keldon versus Romeo, I'm taking Romeo.
Yeah.
Because he has that ability to, I think, to maybe not be a star, but be a great scorer for you. And Fournier, I think he takes too many bad shots, and that's due to the team that he's on. You kind of need to do that. But if this is a team that's going to be taken into the future, this is a team that is going to build around a core of Isaac, Gordon, Fultz, Bamba, and their new draft pick. I think you need to get a guy who can be that next level scorer, because I don't think Aaron Gordon is that type of guy. I don't think Aaron Gordon's ever going to put up near 22 points per game. I don't see that in Mo Bamba. I don't see that in Isaac. I don't see that in Markelle with what we've seen from Markelle. If Markelle ever returns to college Markelle, then yes, he can put up those numbers.
Business,
but I don't think he's going to be at that level ever. I think Romeo does have that ability to be a dominant scorer. And if they're able to move the ball, pass the ball around, and be efficient with their passes, that will help Romeo be better at having a breaks
he's
shot
not the only
selection
guy
and
at
be
that
efficient.
point. Yeah.
So I think that Romeo would be the smartest pick. I think Keldon doesn't have that next level scoring ability that I do think Romeo possesses. I'm worried about trading up because if you're trading up for Darius Garland, there's injury concerns there.
And
if
you've
you're
already
trading
got one problem with injuries.
Yeah, if you're trading up for Culver, he's not really that offensive star that you need. I think the only player that you should trade up for, I don't think they would or have the assets to do so, would be like a Cam Reddish. I think that would be a guy that would be interesting, or an RJ. I think those two would be a great fit there, but I just don't think that they're going to be in that position to take them. That's why if you're at 10 and you know Romeo's going to be there, stay hold, take him.
I'd be good with that. Absolutely.
Any thoughts on the Magic, or are we good?
The only thing I was thinking is maybe like with Keldon Johnson, could you put him at the 3? Could you draft him and put the 3 and have Fournier at the 2, Johnson at the 3? Like that would be.
I mean, yeah, but where's Isaac going to play?
Yeah, I say Isaac's been playing really well as of late as well.
Why
are you going to put him on the bench?
Just off the bench because I like Keldon. I like what Keldon Johnson brings a little bit better.
It's better floor spacer.
Mm-hmm. But also Isaac was a higher pick.
Higher pick and better defender. Got more potential. He's
still
in a unique category of size and weight where he just has crazy potential. And you heard KD. I think KD was one praising him during the All-Star break, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So any praise you get from a superstar in the league, that guy's probably got some things earmarked. I'd be afraid to put him back to a bench role permanently.
Yeah, and the big thing too is his past 10 games, Isaac, 13 points per game, 6 boards, 2 blocks per game, 1.3 steals, and he's shooting about 31% from 3, and also 91% from the line. I think he's still just extremely young, and you can't really move away from him.
Yeah, he needs to continue putting on mass on that frame because, having that insane wingspan and being able to go out and guard people on the perimeter is a great combo.
He's only gonna be 22 come October 3rd, so I think there's still time. I think if you're moving away from anyone, it's Fournier. Trade him. He's got a movable contract, and he's a guy that off the bench for a playoff team would be disgusting.
Yeah, because
he's a great shooter.
If the looks get better, like he was a 40% shooter from 3, like literally a couple of years ago. He's a respectable 3-point shooter. Just this year
he's
is
a good
just
driver too.
Bad percentages because bad team.
He just needs to shave his head, and he just needs to become a smarter shooter.
Shave head, eh?
He's got bad balding. He's got a deep balding here. He's got to cut it. It's really short too. It's not like a Costanza thing where it's kind of defined. No one should be doing a Costanza anyways. But it's too thin. And I know I shouldn't throw stones in glass houses, but whatever. Let's move on now from the Magic.
Sure.
We'll move to Eric Bailey. He said, y'all really just broke down Nasir Little's performance against UVA, and he played 2 minutes. He's still learning the game besides just being an athlete. Hell, if you put his stats up against Cam Reddish, he's actually better on a per minute and field goal percent basis. But people overlook Cam's stats because he plays with 2 other top 2 picks. Naz will test out and grade well at the combine and may play better down the stretch. Naz will be a better NBA player. Dave, we're going to you first. Because you were talking so much about the Nasir Little against UVA performance. I will bring up the stats that he was talking about to kind of frame this argument.
Sure.
It was the per 40 minutes, I believe you said. Let me just check. Per minute basis. So we'll use per 40. Cam Reddish is scoring 20 points per game, averaging 4.8 boards, 3 assists, 2.7 steals, 0.6 blocks, 3.7 turnovers per 40 on 36, 34, and 77 shooting. Nasir Little per 40 is scoring 20.5 points per game, which is 0.4 better than Cam Reddish. He is averaging less assists at 1.9. I think less steals. 1.2 compared to 2.7. More blocks, 1.2 compared to 0.6. Less turnovers at 2.8. And he's shooting 49% from the field, 28% from 3, and 74% from the line. So Nasir averaging more points, less assists, more steals, less steals, more blocks, better field goal percentage shooter, worse 3-point shooter, and worse free throw shooter. So what's your response to the Nasir Little stuff and then the Cam versus Nasir stuff?
Sure. I literally just say the wrong game. I totally admit that I was wrong on that. Deserve the flame for it. I looked at the calendar. I saw UVA. I was like, oh, that must have been the game I saw. It was actually the Louisville game that I was watching, which happened a little bit previously. I think it was about a week and a half back from then, where he had a
That was February 2nd compared to February 11th when the UVA game was.
Okay. So, yeah, it was about a week and a half then, yeah. So, that lines up. I'm admitting I'm wrong there. I looked at the calendar. I was like, oh, yeah, that was them. Okay, cool. But no, I mean, the criticism doesn't change. It's that was what I had seen in that game. That's what I've seen out of him all year. If you want to bring up per minute monsters, I don't care. Go talk about Boban. Like, seriously. It just, when you watch him, he doesn't pass the eye test. There's nothing more basic than that. When you're on a court, he's not good enough to get in a starting role because the guy in front of him, who is a senior, is better at college basketball, is shooting incredible from behind three-point line. That's what he's there for.
Cam Johnson.
Yeah, Cam Johnson. That's what wins games in college. Being a inefficient shooter with kind of, really good strength for your size, but that tweener role where you're not quite, a pure 3, you're not quite a 4. He's still learning the game. He's still learning where he fits offensively. This is a very tightly run ship. When I earlier spoke about Kobe White and this UNC team, it is vet heavy outside of Kobe White, who is just thriving in his role as that secondary scorer. I look at Nasir and I'm like, if you were at that level where you were like Cam Reddish, you would be starting. You wouldn't be a bum off the bench. And not bum's the wrong word, but you wouldn't be coming off the bench. Cam is their best three-point shooter on that team, which I get it. He's not amazing at, but he still provides a valuable role. Nasir Little, there's not one great area other than his defensive ability or prowess that he really is above the bar on.
Well, and I know all three of us watched the Duke-UNC game, so I want to bring this up because a lot of criticism was coming at Nasir Little after that game, at least in the NBA draft world. And a lot of it was the fact that, he didn't show anything in that game at all. He played 11 minutes and didn't show the ability to stop anybody defensively. He didn't show the ability to pass at all.
No.
He doesn't show the ability to score. Ricky, what are your thoughts on this Nasir Little versus Cam thing? A lot of people are talking that Cam shouldn't be in the top 10. Some people are saying that Nasir Little shouldn't even be in the first round anymore. Do you see where Eric's coming from using the per minute basis to frame this argument, Cam versus Nasir, or do you just not see enough out of Nasir?
Now, there's a part of me, we mentioned it earlier, if Nasir was in a different situation, what would it be like? However, we're not gonna see that. Just like we're not gonna see Cam in a different situation than where he is. When it comes to Nasir, I have said it before, from the articles I've read, from what we've talked about when Dave and I did a PTP about will Nasir Little be a bust.
Yeah, check that out.
From
it's a good one.
I'll put it above our heads.
Thanks.
And also the thing I've also just said, I'll get to the point, is it to me is a question of what's above the shoulders. And for me, that is what I question, where is it like the one article I read, he didn't know where he's supposed to go. Like,
I've
if
heard
you don't know that,
like 8 times.
I know,
Just find a new quote, man.
But it's important.
Find a new slant.
And is it something where it's like, is it the yips? Is it just that like we should be questioning the basketball IQ? No matter what it is, that's the argument I go back to, that what's above the shoulders is a million times more important than what's below it. The only problem is he's not even showing production to where you can say, oh, I can write that off because at least he's showing. Like Dave said, he doesn't even pass the eye test.
How many conversations have you had with Nasir Little?
Doesn't even pass the eye test.
How many conversations have you had with Nasir Little?
As many as you have, Sean.
Okay, how many times have you seen him like at practice playing? How many times have you seen him playing at practice? How many times have you seen him play at practice?
What it seems
Answer
like,
the question.
Like I'm saying, from what I've read,
you read one article,
and what I've seen on the court when I watch games,
I watch 9 games.
That's what it is. I'm not at practice. Yes, I'm not in his dorm room.
I'm not saying you can't.
I'm not his best friend.
I'm not saying you can't bring up the eye
like.
test. But again, you taking one quote and it could be out of context.
I'm just saying I think that is what I believe, and that is what at the combine, during interviews, during everything you do at the combine, could sway me. But right now, that is what, if I was a GM, I would be afraid of, and I would pass over him. That's why he was 20 on my mock draft.
Okay, and I'm not saying that he shouldn't be that low. I'm saying that that's fine that he can be that low. I'm just saying that, for the people watching, for the people listening, for the people taking this in.
Yep.
Again, we need to provide more context than just one article and one quote, because we don't know these players and what their mentality is and makeup. He can be beating himself up so much that he's not playing up to a level, and he's seeing what Cam Johnson's doing, and he wants to be playing at a better level, but he's just not being able to, and he's frustrated, and it could just be something where he wants to be better, and he's just not in the right environment at all. This kid's extremely young.
Then
he's
should
19
he stay
years
in
old.
school?
Well, what if it's the fact that he's in the wrong environment and would want to get out of the environment?
No, yeah, but I'm saying like stay in college but transfer to a new team. What if like that?
If you transfer, aren't you out a year?
It depends. You can get a hardship waiver.
Yeah, so I think that it would be. I think that would be probably a most likely misguided thing, just because we have seen guys who have transferred and they have panned out well in college. But I think right now you are still young, and I think that if you are getting a grade of a lottery pick, I don't think you should pass that up.
Yeah.
But with Nasir Little, I think that the biggest thing that we need to see from him, and I think we all agree on this, is we just need something that we can attach ourselves to and say that's his identity. Because right now he doesn't have an identity outside of being a 6'7" wing with potential. Because we really can't define what that potential is. Coming into college, it was that he's going to be a defensive stud, that he was going to be a defensive monster.
That's because he tried real hard during the game where...
The Jordan game.
Yeah, the Jordan game. And that's what everyone was like, oh my God, did you see how he stuffed him? Did you see that block? Like, great. But I think at this point, I'm looking back and going, was he the only guy trying?
Yeah, I think you can bring up the fact of like motivation. Was he trying to prove a point? And maybe he's not being motivated at UNC. Again, this is all speculation.
He was the number 4 prospect in this class?
Was he?
Depends on where you look. Yeah, he was top 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big drop.
Yeah, and I think, and we've seen big drops like that before.
Oh, absolutely.
Typically, we've seen big guys rise up as well. Guys from that 20 level. I mean, sometimes they're better fits in college than they are in the pros.
True.
I just think with Nasir Little, we just need to be able, from here to the end of UNC's season, to be able to see something that's consistent and that we can latch onto, whether it be a defensive monster, whether it be a three-point shot that starts burgeoning, whether it starts to see his ability to pass. Just give us something that we can attach to, because yes, the per 40 minutes are extremely impressive, but again, Dave brought up
they're
the
more
point
kind to him.
Well, yeah, they're
I
more
wouldn't
kind
say
to him.
impressive.
Well, and also too, like the field goal percentage. Like you look at UNC, like a ton of those guys are shooting extremely efficiently. They have
a great system and a great coach. Like this, and it's vet heavy around them. That's just everything there is to succeed in the college level. If his game doesn't fit college, I understand, and that's the counter argument is. This guy is meant to be a pro. This is why we should have the one and done rule, because talent like his isn't going to show itself in college. I don't know that I believe that argument, but I think that's an argument to be made.
I think the biggest thing too to look at this team and to look at UNC and what they've done in the past, like currently what they've done. There are no players in the NBA that are stars that came out of UNC. Marvin Williams, Theo Pinson, Justin Jackson, Isaiah Hicks, John Henson, Danny Green, Raymond Felton, Wayne Ellington, Ed Davis, Vince Carter, Reggie Bullock, Tony Bradley, and Harrison Barnes. The only player out of that
non-one and dones. They're all older.
Yeah, they're all players that stayed around. Or mostly, I think probably one of them probably came out. I think Marvin stayed around for a little bit. Harrison a 2-year player? Okay.
We talked about this in the next segment.
Yeah, we did.
I think that you just see that though, and Vince is the only one that was a star at any point. They haven't had that star power come out of UNC in a very long time. So maybe it's just the fact that if you don't attach yourself to that UNC mentality, maybe you are just a better pro. I don't know. Maybe there's some weird shit in that seat. But I just do not think right now that there is an argument to say that Nasir Little is better than Cam Reddish, and I think that there is massive worry in Nasir Little's draft stock and draft potential.
I think what also plays into it, and it would be, Eric, I'm asking you this. Are you a UNC fan? Because I would almost be interested to see is there a little rivalry seeded into this. Like if you're a UNC guy, of course you're going to say your guy is better than the Duke guy
but
because
you
hate
watched
Duke.
The Duke game and it was just like, dude, you didn't give us anything.
Yeah, I mean one's clear, but that was, I will give Eric at least benefit of doubt. That count was made before the Duke UNC game. Yep. I think it depends obviously where Eric's coming from, but I think that he's not the only person that I've seen that said Nasir Little is better than Cam Reddish. So I won't bash him for that. Let's move on to the last one. Jason Kroll, he said, you guys are really low on Chris Wilkes. We're ending it on a huge star in Chris Wilkes.
Absolutely.
He said, damn. That was from the 21 through 30 segment. I'll start off with this one. Chris Wilkes, and I've even seen this, it was from the guy who reached out on Twitter. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on your name. The Spurs fan, who's also a Montreal Canadiens fan. He mentioned, what does KZ Okpala have over Chris Wilkes? Both similar size, both playing out of the Pac-12, both have very extremely similar points per game. The biggest thing that I explained to him and that I feel is that Chris Wilkes has seen a higher usage going into a sophomore year at UCLA, but I haven't seen anything step up really. Yes, he scored more points. He scored 13.7 in his freshman year to 17. But he's turning the ball over more. He's getting less assists. He's not he's not forcing turnovers, blocking shots more. He's grabbing the same amount of rebounds. He's shooting worse from three. He's shooting a little bit better from the line, 65 to 66%. And then field goal percentage, he's shooting like 0.01% better.
The needle hasn't moved.
That's the thing, is he hasn't shown anything new to me, where KZ went from a very low, under the radar player at Stanford to a guy who's now leading that team. And I think you look at the potential of a KZ Okpala, he's showing the development there. Where Chris Wilkes, he is showing a very good player, but I think he's a guy that might be a very good college player that, yes, he's doing similar things to KZ Okpala, at least on the stat sheet, but I haven't seen him develop and grow. So he might already be at his peak, where KZ, there is more of a body and frame to work with. So I think the thing that with Chris Wilkes is, it's not that he's not a talented player. It's not that he won't be a pro. He will be a pro. It's just that when you come to the NBA draft, it's about potential. It's about your development. And I haven't seen that development from Chris Wilkes.
Well, for me, it's easy. Like I had Okpala the lowest compared to you guys. I had him at 29.
Yeah.
And really, KZ and Wilkes fall into the same situation for me. Is like Wilkes is a second-round talent who, with a good combine, with some good workouts, could be a late first rounder at best. Okpala's the same thing. I have him in the late first round, but he could be an early second round guy too.
I disagree on the Okpala versus Wilkes thing. I think Okpala's top is lottery range. I think his lowest would be mid 20s. Where Wilkes, I think he's late first round to early second round. But I think same idea of, I think Chris Wilkes is, if one team likes him, he can go first round.
Yeah, I think
it's just
I've read a lot of different articles about different scouts from NBA teams falling in love with KZ Okpala's size and movement, his speed on the court when he's ball handling. I haven't seen as much about Chris Wilkes, and I get it. Like, they're both West Coast guys, which already get like very little coverage because of the time of the games. But I think there's a lot of NBA franchises who see something special in these larger guards who are able to ball handle. And I'm on the front of KZ. You nailed it. It was KZ's improvement from year 1 to year 2. Went up 7% from 2. Went up, I think, like 16%. I mean, his 3-point, he didn't really have a 3-point shot his first year, shooting 22% on 1.3. His sophomore year, he's at 38% with 3 attempts a game. Much more respectable. It's just that upside is insane when you look at bigger guards in the NBA being something that makes your team unique, makes them have matchup issues for everybody else. Like, there's just something about it.
And the thing, too, is I know the assists kind of don't show this, but I think Chris Wilkes is fantastic in transition, like most players out of UCLA have been. Kid can throw down. But I think in the half court, KZ Okpala has shown me more. And he hasn't been a great facilitator, per se, when it comes to assist numbers. He's a little bit better than Chris Wilkes, I believe.
Yes.
But I think the thing that sticks out to me is that he can turn into a guy who might be able to be that big guard, where I think Chris Wilkes is most likely going to end up being a slasher in the NBA. So it's also about the prototype and the position that he's going to end up playing.
Yep.
So we'll end it there. An hour 44 is where we're at right now. So any final thoughts on the NBA draft mailbag? I thought it was a success.
Yeah, I liked it.
I loved it.
All right, cool. Let us know
Hopefully they did.
Yeah, let us know any other questions you have down in the comments below. Shoot them at twitter.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Also, leave them in the comments down below as well. We'll do our best to throw in some timestamps as well, so you guys can jump around the video. Is this the last segment? No, it's not. So this is where I leave you. Ricky and Dave did a fantastic job.
I'm gonna boop over there, like pop really quick over there.
Yeah, Ricky and Dave did a fantastic job. John, our new patron, came on. You guys talked about risers, or sleepers in the NBA draft. Super excited to hear that, guys. So again, thank you for doing my job. I appreciate it. And thank you to John for being a patron. That's all I got to say. See you later.